The heavens seemed to stretch endlessly, a tapestry of celestial light and shadow, where the faintest glimmers of divine grace lingered waiting to spill into the world below. It was in the tender, quiet dawn of a day, untouched by the wear of time, that a singular figure stood upon the venerable precipice of a mountain top, where the world seemed to bow low in reverence. Clad in a robe, spun from the very essence of morning dew, the Chosen One gazed out over a world that remained asleep to its own immutable destiny. She was a beacon of silent strength. Her form emanated an aura of untouched purity that echoed in the silent air. Every line of her countenance, her serene eyes, each perfectly arched brow, the gentle curve of her lips, spoke not only of human grace, but of an unyielding spirit, untouched by the ravages of time or turmoil. Her fingers, delicate yet firm, traced the ancient sigils inscribed along the stone symbols that pulsed with the living, breathing energy of the cosmos. They were marks of an invisible but all-powerful calling, a celestial script that whispered truths to those who dared to listen. The air was thick with the scent of pine and earthy moss, punctuated by a faint, otherworldly perfume that seemed to float like a memory from another world. It was a fragrance that spoke of both beginnings and endings of the cyclical nature of existence, where creation and destruction were but two sides of the same divine coin. As the first rays of dawn broke through the thick clouds, casting a golden glow upon the scene, the Chosen One inhaled deeply, feeling the very breath of creation fill her lungs, each molecule a testament to the grand design. She could feel it, the quiet yet overpowering presence of the divine, a force so sublime that it seemed to transcend the very fabric of reality, yet intimately connected to every living thing. It was a presence that demanded not just attention, but an inner transformation. Her heart, a vessel of profound truths, beat in rhythm with the cosmic symphony. Each pulse was a reminder of her own chosen role, one that had been meticulously crafted by forces beyond mortal comprehension. Yet, as she stood there, bathed in the tender light of dawn, a peculiar sensation of being ignored washed over her. It was an unsettling feeling, one that seemed to contradict her very essence. For she was the Chosen One, the harbinger of divine revelation, the one who was supposed to be cradled in the arms of attention and reverence. But in this moment, she felt a profound solitude, as if the world had momentarily forgotten the sacred trust placed upon her shoulders. The mountain air was suddenly alive with 1,000 unseen voices, each whispering secrets of ages past and futures unborn. The ancient stones beneath her feet seemed to hum with a life of their own, echoing with the wisdom of countless generations. She closed her eyes and concentrated, reaching out to the source of this overwhelming but strangely beautiful silence. She was flooded with visions, glimpses of forgotten temples, of sacred ceremonies long abandoned, of the ancient covenant that had bound humanity to the divine. But there was a peculiar absence in those visions, a void where one might expect to see her own role in the grand tapestry of things. It was as if the divine had deliberately chosen to ignore her, to let her stand in the silence of her own making. Yet in this silence, there lay a profound power, a strength that could only be found in the most sacred of solitudes. The Chosen One felt her spirit swell with a newfound understanding, a revelation that transcended her initial solitude. To be ignored by the world, this was her true power, her greatest strength. For through the very act of being overlooked, she would uncover the depth of her own connection with the divine, a connection that no earthly attention could replicate. It was in her isolation that she would find the clarity of vision and the purity of purpose. The Chosen One opened her eyes, now alight with an inner luminescence that seemed to pierce through the fabric of reality itself. She had been given the greatest gift, her own undivided attention to the divine, an intimacy that could only blossom in the quietude of being ignored by the world. With a deep, resonant breath, she turned and began her descent from the mountain. Each step, a harmonious blend of grace and purpose. The world, it seemed, would soon forget her once more, but she would remember always. She was the chosen one, and in her solitude, she would find her strength, her revelation, her ultimate calling, within the echoing chambers of the ancient temple, where time itself seemed to hold its breath. The air shimmered with an electric, unfathomable tension. It was a place where every stone whispered forgotten secrets, where dreams and realities became entwined in a labyrinth of celestial design. Here, amid the hallowed silence, the chosen one stood at the threshold of a destiny neither fully grasped nor fully understood. Amid the shadows cast by the flickering torches, the chosen one felt an invisible hand guiding up them, a silent, spectral touch that imparted both comfort and foreboding. The chosen one's path had been fraught with trials, each one a crucible testing the metal of their spirit. A crucible designed to polish the purity of their mission. The journey had begun with a whispered promise of a divine calling, a call to restore an ancient balance that had been irrevocably disrupted. As the chosen one's eyes traced the ornate carvings along the temple walls, they saw symbols of sacred lore and cosmic truths. Each symbol held a piece of the puzzle, a fragment of a vision revealed to them in brief, illuminating glimpses, visions of a world on the brink of chaos, a world where light and dark had become ensnared in a bitter struggle. The chosen one's mission was to restore harmony, to bridge the chasm between the realms of order and disorder between the celestial and the terrestrial. The air grew heavier laden with the weight of forgotten epics. Shadows seemed to coalesce, forming a vast congregation of ancestral spirits that watched with patient, eternal eyes. Among them, the eyes of the ancients bore the wisdom of millennia, reflecting the trials and triumphs of those who had walked this path before. They conveyed not judgment but silent respect, for they knew that the chosen one's journey was not merely their own. It was a journey that echoed through the ages, a testament to the will of the cosmos. The silence between the heartbeats felt like a universe of time. The chosen one closed their eyes and breathed deeply, drawing from the wellspring of ancient strength within. They felt the pulse of the temple, the heart of the divine plan resonating through their very being. They understood now that to be ignored by some, to be overlooked by the indifferent multitudes, was not an affliction, but an unparalleled gift, the ultimate form of power bestowed upon them. In their solitude, in their unseen battle against the relentless tide of distraction, the chosen one would find their true strength. With a surge of inner resolve, the chosen one opened their eyes to the world anew. The chamber pulsed with ethereal light, a beacon that cut through the shadows, illuminating the way forward. The path was clear, though strewn with uncertainties and challenges that tested their resolve to the very core. Yet in the silence, where they felt most alone, there was a profound truth: they were not alone. The universe had woven their fate into its cosmic tapestry, binding them to a divine purpose that transcended human comprehension. As the chosen ones stepped forward, their footsteps resonated with the cadence of destiny itself. Each step echoed the rhythm of countless generations who had embarked on similar quests. They felt the unseen threads of fate tightening, guiding their journey with an unyielding force. There was a sacred silence before the storm, a moment pregnant with infinite possibilities. The chosen one was embarking on the final leg of their odyssey, a journey that would culminate in an encounter with the embodiment of chaos. The chosen one's spirit flared with an incandescent glow as they neared the altar, the epicenter of the ancient prophecy. It was a place where the veil between worlds would thin to a gossamer thread, where the final confrontation between light and darkness, order and disorder would unfold. Here, the chosen one would confront the very essence of their mission, the task of mending the fractured cosmos, of restoring balance in a world teetering on the edge of annihilation. In the stillness, a voice, ancient, timeless, whispered through the temple, a voice that transcended the spoken word and spoke directly to the soul. You are the bridge. You are the beacon. The silence that envelops you is not a void, but a crucible shaping your resolve and fortitude. The indifference of others is but a testament to your uniqueness, for you are chosen by the divine to fulfill a role that no other may ever comprehend. With each heartbeat, the chosen one drew closer to the altar, their spirit aflame with divine purpose. They knew that the trials ahead would test their very essence, but they also knew that within their soul burned an eternal flame, an undying light that could pierce the darkest abyss. In the silence of their solitude, in the depth of their perceived abandonment, they would find their greatest strength, the power to be the chosen one. Thus, with unwavering resolve, the chosen one stood upon the altar, ready to face the final challenge to fulfill the divine mandate bestowed upon them by the cosmic forces that had woven their fate into the very fabric of existence. The final call had been sounded, and the chosen one answered, stepping forth into the eternal dance of light and shadow, destiny and free will on a quest that would echo through eternity. In the heart of forgotten desolation, where the whispers of the ancient forests had long since faded into silence, there emerged a figure cloaked in mystery and burdened with an unspeakable destiny. This was Eli, the chosen one, a soul ordained with an unfathomable mission by the very hands of divinity itself. His journey was one marked not by the applause of the countless, nor the accolades of the many, but by the silent and solemn call of the Almighty. A call that reverberated within the corridors of his soul with an echo that transcended time itself. Eli walked through lands that had long been abandoned by the light of human touch, the sands of forgotten deserts, whispering secrets only the wind could fathom. His tattered garments fluttered like the leaves of a withered tree, and his eyes, though solemn, held a glimmer of unfathomable depths, a mirror to the infinite cosmos he was destined to traverse. With every step, Eli felt the weight of the universe pressing upon his shoulders. He was a lone sentinel in a world that had grown cold, yet within him burned an eternal flame of purpose. It was said that Eli was marked for a reason, an unspeakable reason that no mortal heart could ever fully grasp. He bore an amulet, an artifact of divine origin, glowing with a soft iridescent light that seemed to pulse in harmony with his very heartbeat. This amulet was both a beacon and a burden, guiding him on paths unseen, illuminating a way that none else could perceive, but also tethering him to a fate that bore the weight of creation itself. As Eli approached the ancient city of Atara, his heart beat with both trepidation and resolve. Atara had stood as a bastion of human civilization, but now it lay in ruins, draped in the shroud of time's relentless march. Yet within its crumbling walls, a temple of immense power lay hidden, one that held the key to unraveling the enigma of his mission. This temple was more than a mere structure. It was a nexus, a point where the veil between the mortal and the divine grew thinnest, a place where the whispers of the cosmos could be heard if one had ears to listen. With every step, Eli felt the presence of the divine grow stronger, guiding him through the labyrinthine alleys of the ruined city. The air was thick with a palpable silence, broken only by the distant chirping of unseen creatures, and Eli could sense the eyes of ancient spirits watching his every move. These spirits were not malevolent, but rather they were keepers of ancient wisdom, guardians of secrets long buried beneath layers of time. Upon reaching the temple, Eli found its entrance guarded by colossal statues, their faces eroded by centuries of wind and rain, yet their gaze seemed to pierce through the fabric of reality itself. He approached the entrance, his hand reaching for the amulet that now pulsed with a radiant light, as if in anticipation of something momentous. The temple doors creaked open with an otherworldly groan, revealing a vast chamber illuminated by an ethereal glow emanating from the center. In the chamber's heart stood the altar of revelations, a monolith of unknown origin inscribed with symbols that seemed to shift and change with each passing second. As Eli approached, He felt the very air around him shimmer and vibrate with an ancient energy. Placing his hands upon the altar, he closed his eyes and allowed the divine whisper to envelop him. The visions that ensued were beyond the ken of mortal comprehension. Eli saw the birth of stars, the creation of worlds, the tears of angels, and the silent prayers of the earth. He witnessed the birth and the end of civilizations, the cycles of time and the eternal dance of creation and destruction. Each vision was a lesson, a testament to the boundless and infinite nature of existence itself. Yet amidst the grandeur and the overwhelming beauty, Eli understood that his true purpose lay not in grandiose revelations or the glory of creation, but in the quiet, uncelebrated moments of life. It was in the moments of being ignored, the hours of solitude, the whispers of the indifferent world that he found his true power. Being chosen was not a mantle to be borne with pride or fear. It was a stewardship of silence, a guardianship of the unseen and the unheard. As the vision receded, Eli opened his eyes to find himself standing alone once more, but now with an immense and serene understanding. His mission was clear to be the silent witness, the unseen guardian, and the eternal echo of the divine, in a world that often forgot its celestial roots. And so, Eli continued his journey, his path illuminated by a celestial whisper, his heart at peace, his spirit unwavering, knowing that the greatest power of the chosen one lay not in being acknowledged, but in being the unseen force that silently shaped the cosmos. In the hushed and sacred corners of an ancient and forgotten world, there came a time when the chosen one found solitude in the presence of divine solitude. The air was thick with the weight of unspoken words, and the silence seemed to weave itself into the fabric of existence, binding together the threads of fate and destiny. The chosen one stood in the middle of a deserted temple, its once grand columns now shrouded in the mists of time, bearing silent witness to the eons that had passed since their last invocation. Eyes closed, the chosen one felt an indescribable depth of peace, an embrace of the cosmic silence that surrounded them like a mother's tender arms. It was in this moment of deep reflection that the divine whisper began to stir. Not loud nor overbearing, but a gentle beckoning that whispered through the very essence of existence itself. It was the call of the cosmos, a cosmic symphony that resonated within the soul, a song that could only be heard by those who had devoted their lives to the pursuit of the sacred and the divine. The chosen one knew that this was God's final call, and with it came the realization that being ignored by the world was not a curse, but the greatest power they could wield. For the chosen one had learned the profound truth that silence is not merely the absence of sound, but the presence of infinite possibility. It is in the quietude of the spirit that one hears the true whispers of divinity. To be ignored by the clamorous world was to be granted the unparalleled freedom to listen to the subtlest notes of the universe's song. It was a path paved with the most sacred of silences, where the whispers of angels and the echoes of ancient seers became the guiding lights of a soul on a divine mission. As the chosen one gazed upon the ancient altar, its once resplendent carvings now worn by time, a vision unfolded before them. A vision of a world teetering on the brink of chaos where darkness threatened to engulf all creation. But within that vision lay a beacon, a glimmer of hope amidst the encroaching shadows. It was the chosen one's mission to stand as a solitary sentinel, a beacon of hope and light in an indifferent world. To shine the light of divine truth in the face of utter darkness, and in the silence find the most profound strength. The divine whisper grew into a powerful crescendo, filling the temple with an ethereal glow that danced upon the ancient stones. The chosen one felt the weight of their destiny lift away, their heart filled with an uncontainable joy. To be chosen was not to be burdened, but rather to be blessed with the freedom to walk a path unmarred by the expectations of others. The weight of the world's gaze no longer pressed down upon them, for the chosen one had learned that true fulfillment comes from the heart's communion with the divine. The world the divine whisper sang through the silent air is vast and endless. To be ignored is to be free. To be unseen is to see deeper, to hear clearer, and to know beyond the veil of mundane existence. Through the silence, you will find the voice that cannot be caged, that sings the truth of the cosmos. Let your solitude be your ally, for within it, you will discover the might of the celestial, the power of the divine. With these words echoing within, the chosen one opened their eyes and the world seemed to shift. The temple, now bathed in an otherworldly light, felt alive with divine energy. The chosen one stepped forward, every footfall resonating with the heartbeat of the universe. It was in this sacred moment that the true nature of being ignored was revealed. It was the opportunity to embrace one's unique role, to stand apart from the throng, and to hear the divine call that could only be heard in silence. As they moved beyond the temple's threshold, the chosen one knew that their journey was not one of isolation, but of unparalleled connection. For within the silence, they had found the all-encompassing love of the divine. No longer would they be a solitary figure, for they were now the bridge between the earthly and the celestial. In every step taken, in every breath drawn, the chosen one felt the presence of the divine surrounding them, guiding them and empowering them. In the end, it was not the clamor of the world that would define the chosen one's mission, but the quiet strength that arose from their divine solitude. To be chosen meant to be a vessel of light in a world often shrouded in darkness, a beacon that pierces the veil of ignorance with the truth of the celestial. The chosen one walked forth their heart, unburdened eyes shining with the unwavering light of the divine, ready to embrace their greatest power, the wisdom that comes from being ignored, and the strength that arises from divine solitude. Thus began the chosen one's journey, a journey of divine purpose and celestial connection. Through the sacred silence, they would navigate the world, illuminating the path for all who would listen, and proving that in the greatest silence lies the deepest power and the most profound truth. In the quiet, hallowed chambers of an ancient monastery, perched upon the edge of the world, time seemed to slip through the fingers like the sands of a vast desert. Here, beneath the canopy of stars that whispered secrets, from the ages the chosen one knelt before the altar, the weight of destiny heavy upon her slender shoulders. It was here, in the dim-lit cavern, where the flickering candlelight danced upon the hallowed walls, that she was called to a truth so profound, it almost broke the fragile fabric of her soul. The air was thick with incense and the scent of sacred texts that spoke of forgotten epics and ancient prophecies. These were the chambers where generations before had whispered their confessions to the divine, where the mysteries of the universe were unraveled and rewoven into the fabric of the cosmos. Here she was to be the vessel through which the final irrevocable decree of God would pass from the celestial realms to the earthly plane. Her breath hitched as she traced the lines of the ancient tome that lay before her, its pages yellowed with the passage of centuries. Each word seemed to pulse with a life of its own, vibrating through her very being, as though the script itself was a living, breathing entity imbued with the essence of divine truth. She felt the tremor of power, undeniable and electric, course through her veins as she opened it, the leather cover creaking under the weight of expectation. The room seemed to close in upon her, the shadows deepening as she began to read the prophecy that had been passed down through the ages, a prophecy shrouded in layers of mystery and veiled in cryptic symbolism. It spoke of the chosen one destined to walk the world in the shadows, to be ignored and forgotten, yet to wield the greatest power known to man. This was her burden. This was her gift, as the silence of the monastery seemed to amplify the reverberations of her own heartbeat. In those hallowed halls, the echoes of the past whispered of a time when the world was different, a time when the divine was more accessible, more palpable. It was a time when prophets and chosen ones walked the earth, their footsteps a testament to the direct connection with the Almighty. Yet now, she was to be the bridge in a world where such direct access seemed to have been lost, a world in which the divine had begun to withdraw, to recede into the shadows. A surge of emotion welled within her, a maelstrom of sorrow, hope, and a profound sense of isolation. To be the chosen one was to be the one standing at the precipice of an age where divine communication had become an echo, a whisper carried on the wind, almost too faint to be heard. To be ignored by a world weary of divine signs and miracles was both a curse and a secret power, for it was in this very isolation that her true strength lay. The chosen one felt the weight of the ages pressing upon her. The eyes of the congregation turned to her as if they could see the invisible threads binding her to the divine. She closed her eyes, and in the silent darkness behind her lids, she saw visions of those who had come before her, their faces etched with a similar burden. Prophets and seers, each one had faced the indifference of the people, had spoken words that went unheeded, had borne the cross of isolation with grace and fortitude. With an inward sigh, she understood that to be chosen was to possess a gift that no one else could wield. The divine had chosen her not because she was the most pious or the most righteous, but because she was strong enough to stand alone to face the world's indifference without faltering. She was given the profound task of being the silent herald, the one who carried the divine message in a world that no longer listened. To be ignored was her greatest power, for it allowed her to hear the unheard whispers of the divine, to carry the truth without the distortions of popular belief. She opened her eyes, and the room seemed to expand as she took a breath, filling her lungs with the potent mixture of incense and the ancient scent of parchment. She was ready to embark on her mission, a mission that was as much about the journey as the destination, about the silence as the spoken word. The true power of being chosen was not in the acclaim of the masses, but in the quiet, unyielding truth that she carried within. Her heart heavy, yet alight with purpose, began to steady as she recited the sacred words, feeling the invisible currents of divine energy flow through her, grounding her in her role. The prophecy began to unfold, each line weaving itself into the fabric of her being, her purpose crystallizing as she spoke the ancient words. With each sentence, a fragment of the divine truth was released, a beacon in the world that had grown dark and indifferent. In the chambers of the monastery, as the candles flickered softly and the shadows deepened, the chosen one found her resolve. She knew that the path ahead would be fraught with trials, with moments of doubt, of feeling utterly alone in the world. But each time the world seemed to close in on her, she would remember the true nature of her power. To be ignored was to be a vessel for the divine to carry a truth that no one else could see. Thus, with a serene and unwavering heart, she stepped out of the monastery into the world, ready to fulfill the divine mandate bestowed upon her. It was in the silence of her isolation that she would carry the light to shine it upon a world that had forgotten how to listen. And in being truly chosen, she would become the silent herald of a new dawn, a beacon of hope in a world that had lost its way. In the heart of the ancient city, where the dust of ages clung to crumbling stones and shadows of forgotten gods whispered secrets in the corners, a lone figure stood upon the balcony of a decaying tower. The chosen one, cloaked in an aura of quiet intensity and an almost ethereal beauty, gazed out over the sprawling expanse of the metropolis. Time here was not a linear concept, but a river that braided through centuries and epochs, weaving together the destinies of men, the ghosts of saints, and the echoes of divine intervention. The city below was a labyrinthine sprawl of hope and despair, light and shadow. Narrow streets, twisted like the veins of a wounded beast, where the faint glimmers of candles flickered in the gloom, casting hesitant pools of light against the stone facades. The murmur of prayers, the distant toll of bells, and the occasional wail of the wind mingled together, creating a symphony that reached out to the heavens, begging for divine attention. Yet in the silence above, the chosen one felt a peculiar peace, a peace born not of expectation, but of an uncanny stillness that seemed to echo the silence of the void. This was not the first time the Chosen One had stood here in this place of solitude and contemplation. Every time the world felt different, each breath a deeper revelation, each glance a more profound connection. In the luminescence of the moon, the Chosen One's eyes, though closed, seemed to pierce through the fabric of reality itself, unraveling threads of truth that held the cosmos together. It was in these moments that the weight of their mission bore heavily upon their soul, a mission that transcended time and space, merging into the essence of creation itself. "Why am I here?" the Chosen One whispered, their voice a mere breath on the wind, carrying the weight of 1,000 unanswered prayers. "Why must I be the one chosen by silence? Am I the instrument of an unseen hand, or merely the shadow of a forgotten dream?" The silence that enveloped them seemed almost palpable, a dense, weighty blanket that wrapped around their spirit. Yet through this silence came a profound clarity. It was as if the very fabric of existence chose to speak to them, not through words, but through an unspoken understanding, a communion of souls that defied mere mortal comprehension. Here, in the quiet of the night, the Chosen One felt the silent call of destiny, a call that did not demand attention, but rather offered power, a power that lay in remaining still amid the cacophony of a world that never paused to listen. The Chosen One had long wrestled with the paradox of their existence, of being deemed chosen, yet perpetually invisible, a beacon of divine purpose, yet shrouded in obscurity. Through trials and tribulations, through moments of doubt and despair, they had come to understand that their greatest strength was not in their ability to be seen, but in their willingness to be ignored. To stand firm in silence, to remain undisturbed by the clamor of expectation, was the ultimate act of faith and power. To be ignored is to hold the very breath of the world in your hands, they thought, a subtle but profound realization. To stand unnoticed is to embody the still waters that reflect the divine light. While the restless world spins in chaos, it is the silent one who holds the mirror to the cosmos. Below them, the city continued its endless dance, oblivious to the celestial orchestration happening above. Men and women moved through their daily routines, unaware of the silent guardian watching over them. Yet somehow the Chosen One felt that they were not alone. A presence that transcended physicality, a whisper of divinity, an echo of sacred purpose accompanied them, a testament to the interconnectedness of all things. This immutable bond with the divine was not something to be sought out, but something to be embraced in solitude and silence. The Chosen One turned away from the city below their heart, swelling with a mix of sorrow and gratitude. Sorrow for the countless souls wandering in darkness, and gratitude for the profound knowledge they had gained. The mission remained, as it always had, to guide, to illuminate, to be the unerring beacon in a world that often chose to look elsewhere. Yet it was done not through grand gestures or miraculous acts, but through the quiet, unwavering presence that spoke louder than any proclamation. As dawn began to break, casting the first rays of light over the city, the Chosen One descended the ancient staircase, each step resonating with the weight of their calling. They moved through the streets now alive with the bustle of morning, yet they carried with them the stillness of 1,000 silent nights. Every step was a testament to their mission, a mission not of the spotlight, but of the shadows where being ignored was the greatest strength. In the heart of this ancient city, the Chosen One knew that their true power lay not in being noticed, but in being the eternal silence that held the world's very soul together. And as they continued their journey, they carried within them the silent promise of eternity, a promise that in the face of silence there lies the greatest power of all. In the silence of night, the air heavy with the tang of unshed tears and the whispered breaths of destiny, the Chosen One knelt in an ancient grove. The moonlight filtered through the canopy above, casting a pale, luminescent glow upon the sacred ground where history had been written in blood and faith. Here, among the venerable trees, the weight of the cosmos seemed to rest upon his shoulders, a burden both tangible and ethereal, an intricate weave of celestial design and mortal intent. His heart ached with the magnitude of the mission that had been entrusted to him, a mission that had been centuries in the making, yet to reveal its full grandeur. The Chosen One had long traversed the paths of doubt and conviction, and the journey had etched every lesson into his very soul. It was an existence that teetered perpetually on the edge of isolation, the burden of being perceived as otherworldly, as if existing in a plane beyond the grasp of ordinary perception. This isolation was not born of desire, but a necessity and intricate design that mirrored the celestial fabric. His people had long forgotten the ancient covenant, the timeless truth that bound them to the divine, and his role was to awaken that forgotten faith, to rekindle the ember of belief, and to steer them back to the light. In the depths of his soul, he understood the paradoxical nature of being ignored. It was both a shield and a sword, a solitude that fortified his spirit against the tumult of the world, yet a solitude that could also ensnare him in an abyss of silence. But within this silence lay his greatest power, a power forged in the fires of solitude and honed by the anvil of introspection. The vast indifference of the world became a canvas upon which his vision could flourish, untainted by the clamor of the mundane. It provided him the clarity needed to perceive the divine vestiges in the minutiae of existence, to decipher the cosmic symphony in what seemed to others a discordant noise. The ancient texts he had pored over for decades spoke of the Chosen One as a solitary prophet, a beacon of enlightenment in a world shrouded in darkness. His mission was not merely to preach, but to embody the essence of the divine truth, to be a living testament to the power of faith and the sanctity of spirit. He had to walk the tightrope between omniscience and humility, between the all-encompassing knowledge bestowed upon him and the ever-humble spirit required to serve the divine mission. The cosmos had endowed him with the wisdom of ages, yet he remained eternally grounded by the soil of human experience. It was here, amidst the whispering leaves, that the Chosen One pondered the profound mystery of divine silence. Why, he wondered, had he been chosen to bear this mantle? Why had the heavens deemed him worthy of this sacred task? How could one man, however gifted, withstand the weight of such a mission? The answers were not to be found in grand revelations, but in the quiet moments of reflection. It was in the stillness that he would often hear the faintest hint of divine guidance, in the quietude where the cosmos would murmur its secrets to those who truly listen. He closed his eyes, allowing the sacred silence to wash over him, and in that moment he felt the divine presence enveloping him like a warm embrace. The answers he sought flowed like a gentle stream through the chambers of his mind, each droplet of divine wisdom seeping into the crevices of his soul. It was then that he understood his greatest power was not in being heard, but in being listened to. It was not in having his voice echo through the corridors of the world, but in the ability to inspire others to listen to the divine whispers within their own hearts. In the stillness of that grove, he made a silent vow. He would not seek the applause of the world. He would not crave the acknowledgement of men. Instead, he would serve as a conduit of divine truth, a humble instrument through which the divine melody would resound. His purpose was to awaken the slumbering faith within his people, to ignite a flame that would light their way back to the divine light. And in that awakening, he would find his truest purpose, to become a reminder of the divine within, to become a beacon for those who were lost in the shadows of doubt. Slowly, he rose from his knees, his spirit renewed, his resolve fortified. With each step he took away from the grove, he carried with him the silent strength of the ignored, the profound power of the solitary prophet. His mission was clear, his path marked by the ancient stars. He would traverse the world, whispering the sacred truths that had been entrusted to him, and in each whisper he would plant the seeds of divine awakening. Though he walked alone, he knew that in the hearts of the faithful he would never truly be alone. And so, with a heart full of divine fire and a spirit unyielding in its solitude, the Chosen One set forth on the eternal quest to rekindle the faith of a world that had forgotten the divine within them all. His journey would be marked by the gentle echoes of his whispers, by the subtle stirrings of souls awakened to their true selves. And in that awakening, he would find the greatest triumph of all, a triumph not in the applause of the world, but in the reverent silence that would follow the echo of his divine truth. The world had grown silent for a moment. The cacophony of life seemed to pause as if it were holding its breath, waiting for the revelation of the unknown. The Chosen One stood at the threshold of time and space, bathed in an ethereal glow that seemed to ripple through the fabric of reality itself. The world around them shimmered and vibrated, as if awakening from a long slumber, sensing the magnitude of the presence that now held the attention of the cosmos. With every step forward, the Chosen One felt the weight of the ages pressing upon their shoulders. Each footfall sent ripples through the very essence of existence, a testament to their destiny that no force, not even the most ancient and potent of spells, could hope to divert. Their path, though seemingly straight, was laced with the intricate and invisible threads of fate weaving through the tapestry of time, leading to the crescendo of God's final call. The air was thick with the scent of the divine. Each breath carried the aroma of the celestial garden, where angels once walked among humans, and the sky was not just a dome above, but a living, breathing entity filled with the whispers of the divine. It was here, in this hallowed ground, that the Chosen One found clarity in the depths of their soul. They were no longer just a figurehead, a pawn in the grand design of the universe. They were the embodiment of purpose, the living testament to God's eternal plan. The Chosen One's heart beat in a rhythm that resonated with the cosmos, echoing the silent hymn of the universe. This beat was not just a mere biological function, but a harmonic convergence of light and sound, the very pulse of creation itself. They looked down at their hands, seeing not just flesh and bone, but the essence of every human, every creation that had ever lived and breathed beneath the watchful eyes of the Almighty. Their hands were vessels of divine energy, ready to heal, to unify, and to guide the lost. The Chosen One moved with a grace that seemed otherworldly, as if each step were a dance choreographed by the cosmos itself. They reached out their fingers, trembling ever so slightly, and touched the ancient stone of the altar. The stone responded with a hum, a resonance that vibrated through the Chosen One's very core, linking them to the sacred earth and all its myriad secrets. This altar had witnessed countless sacrifices, rites, and ceremonies, but none had ever held such profound significance as this moment. It was here that the final call of God would be answered, and the world would be forever changed. As they stood before the altar, the Chosen One felt a surge of power course through their veins, a power that was not born from their own will, but was an outpouring of divine grace, a testament to God's unwavering faith in them. This power was not meant to dominate, but to heal, to guide, and to unite. It was a power that flowed from the source of all creation, a power that had the ability to transcend time and space, to touch every soul who had ever existed and those yet to come. The Chosen One closed their eyes, allowing the power to envelop them, to cleanse them of all doubt and fear. In this moment of pure, unadulterated silence, they became one with the cosmos, a conduit for the divine will. They felt the whispers of every soul, the cries of the lost, the prayers of the faithful, and the silent hopes of the indifferent. They understood in that moment the true meaning of being the Chosen One. It was to be the vessel through which the divine love flowed freely, unimpeded by doubt or fear. Even as the world watched in silent anticipation, there came a moment when the Chosen One stood utterly still. It was as if time itself held its breath, waiting for the next breath to be given the breath that would alter the course of history. The Chosen One's lips moved not in words, but in the pure, unadulterated essence of God's love. There were no grandiose declarations, no sweeping proclamations. It was simply the silent, powerful truth of God's final call. And then the Chosen One spoke. It was not with voice, but with essence a silent, profound understanding that resonated with the very essence of the universe. Their eyes opened, reflecting the infinite cosmos, and they spoke the words that the entire world had been waiting for. Let love be the law, let compassion be the guide, and let unity be the path. These words, though simple, carried the weight of millennia, the culmination of God's eternal plan. The world responded not with applause or chaos, but with a profound silence. It was a silence that held awe, reverence, and an understanding that transcended any spoken word. The Chosen One had delivered the final call, not with a command, but with a whisper of truth that resonated through every soul. And in that moment, the world began to change. Nations began to see, beyond their borders, hearts began to heal old wounds, and the divide between the faithful and the lost began to crumble. The Chosen One stood not as a conqueror, but as a beacon of unity, a testament to the power of love, compassion, and unity. The Chosen One's mission was complete, but the work had only just begun. The world was now free to embrace the divine call, to live in harmony with the cosmic rhythm, to understand that being ignored was never a failure, but the greatest power to reveal one's true purpose. As the Chosen One stepped away from the altar, they felt a sense of peace and fulfillment wash over them. They had delivered God's final call, and now it was up to the world to heed it, to listen, to act, and to live in the light of divine truth. The Chosen One had fulfilled their destiny, and in doing so, they had set the world ablaze with the eternal flame of divine love. And thus, the Chosen One walked on, ever vigilant, ever ready to guide, to heal, and to unite, knowing that their true mission was never to command, but to lead by example, to inspire, and to embody the essence of the divine call that had now awakened the world. Deep in the heart of the ancient valleys, and under the watchful gaze of timeless stars, there arose a soul marked, it seemed, by celestial hands. This soul, known as the Chosen One, found itself at the confluence of destiny and divine purpose. The Chosen One's journey was not one of glory or applause, but rather an odyssey shrouded in shadows where silence spoke louder than the loudest acclaim, and abandonment was the soft whisper of God's ultimate calling. The Chosen One wandered through worlds unseen and paths hidden from the uninitiated, guided by an inner light that burned with the silent intensity of a star hidden behind a sun. It was in these solitary expanses that the Chosen One truly began to understand the weight of its mission. To be the Chosen One meant to bear the mantle of an invisible burden, to carry the grace of a call that often goes unheard, to walk the earth while the world slept and remained oblivious to the weight of divine purpose. In the stillness of night, beneath the canopy of 1,000 stars, the Chosen One knelt and reflected on the nature of its mission. It was not to seek recognition or to be revered in the eyes of men. Rather, it was to fulfill a task that transcended all mortal understanding, a task that required the quiet strength born from the silence of being ignored, the quiet power that blossomed from the stillness of abandonment. In the shadow of neglect, the Chosen One discovered the profound secret: being ignored was not a weakness, but the greatest of strengths, a testament to the unwavering faith that sustained it through the darkest of times. As dawn broke with the tender whisper of morning light, the Chosen One arose renewed and resolute. The path ahead was fraught with peril and uncertainty, yet each step was a testament to a divine purpose that no earthly voice could articulate. The Chosen One moved through the world with the grace of a solitary bird, untouched by the clamor of mankind, its heart beating in harmony with the silent rhythms of the cosmos. In ancient groves and forgotten ruins, the Chosen One encountered the remnants of forgotten faiths and ancient rituals. Each encounter was a tapestry woven with threads of spiritual wisdom and ancestral echoes. The Chosen One absorbed each lesson, each whisper of ancient secrets, and each fragment of forgotten lore, all while remaining untouched by the world's fleeting praise or condemnation. The landscape through which the Chosen One traveled was a sacred geography, each mound and vale a testament to epics long past each stream, and cliffside a silent witness to the ages. The Chosen One's mission, though invisible to the naked eye, was a bridge between the seen and unseen, a thread that wove the fabric of existence with the threads of divine intention. The Chosen One's heart was a vessel of profound grace, holding the power of forgotten prayers and unheard cries. It carried within it the whispers of those who had walked the earth before their spirits, intertwining with its own, creating a chorus that sang of resilience, hope, and the unyielding pursuit of a sacred calling. Each step was a prayer, each breath a hymn, each silent moment a meditation on the divine. As the Chosen One journeyed deeper into the heart of its mission, the magnitude of its purpose began to unfold. It was not merely a task, but a sacred duty to uphold the balance of the world, to be the unseen anchor in a universe of chaos and creation. In the quietude of its solitude, the Chosen One found the divine symphony that resonated through the ages, a harmonic convergence of all things, a testament to the unity of all beings. The Chosen One's spirit, though invisible, was a beacon of hope and a symbol of unyielding faith. It shone with the quiet brilliance of a hidden star, a luminary that guided lost souls in the night, a testament to the power found in being ignored in the quiet strength of a call that only the chosen could hear. It was in this solitude that the Chosen One discovered its true power, a power that transcended all earthly accolades, a power that was the echo of God's final call, a call that was the greatest gift bestowed upon the chosen. As the Chosen One moved through its odyssey, the world remained blind to the magnitude of its mission. Yet, in the silence of its solitude, the Chosen One found a profound truth, that the greatest power of all was not in the recognition of men, but in the unwavering commitment to a divine calling that transcended time and space. It was a power that whispered through the winds, that danced in the stars, that echoed in the hearts of those who dared to listen. A power that was the very fabric of existence, a power that was the Chosen One's eternal legacy. The Chosen One walked through the fading remnants of twilight, where the sun's last breath painted the sky in hues of sorrow and hope. Each step resonated with the silent whispers of ancient prophets and the sighs of long-forgotten dreams. The weight of the mission bore down like an invisible shroud, yet it was in this very burden that the Chosen One's true strength was forged. From the moment dawn had failed to break, for what seemed like an eternity, the world had been teetering precariously on the precipice of oblivion. The air crackled with an almost palpable tension, a magnetic pull that drew the Chosen One deeper into the forest of forgotten memories and untold stories. The trees here were not merely flora, but ancient cathedrals, their gnarled branches and twisted trunks speaking in a forgotten tongue, echoing the hymns of those who had walked this path before. Each leaf trembled, as though in reverence to the weight of the mission carried by the Chosen One. The air was imbued with the scent of sacred earth, a reminder that the divine and the mortal spheres were intertwined in an eternal dance. This forest was a living testament to the trials of faith and the unyielding spirit that the Chosen One embodied. As they progressed, every rustle and every flicker of movement seemed to speak directly to their soul, urging them onwards to fulfill the destiny laid out before them. The Chosen One's heart beat in a rhythm that mirrored the ancient cadence of the cosmos itself. Each heartbeat testament to the sacrifices made and those yet to come. It was a symphony of the eternal. They reached a clearing where the moonlight bathed the ground in a silver glow. It was here that the Chosen One paused, sensing the convergence of worlds where the unseen and the seen met in a sacred dance. A figure appeared before them, cloaked in shadows and light, an ethereal embodiment of the divine will. This was the messenger from the celestial realms come to guide and challenge the Chosen One. You have been chosen, not because you possess the most power, but because you are the most willing to be ignored. The messenger intoned voice like the rustling of eternal leaves and the thunder of ancient storms. Every time the world turned its gaze away from you, it was to grant you the greatest gift: isolation, In this isolation, you have found your true voice, your unyielding resolve. The chosen one knelt the earth beneath them, trembling with the weight of eternity. "I am but a vessel, a humble servant," they whispered, yet their voice held the strength of 1,000 storms. The messenger nodded a gesture filled with ancient wisdom. To be ignored is to confront the silence within, to listen to the whispers of the divine that only the solitary hear. Your greatest power lies in your isolation. It is in this isolation that you find the purest form of yourself, stripped of the world's distractions and bound only to the true essence of your being. As the chosen one stood, the very air seemed to respond, vibrating with the intensity of their resolve. The path ahead was fraught with obstacles, not just from the external world, but the inner shadows that sought to undermine their unwavering faith. Yet the isolation had chiseled out their spirit, revealing the unvarnished truth of their purpose. They had been tested not by the overwhelming forces of the world, but by the quiet, persistent whispers of their own conscience. In the depths of their solitude, the chosen one had reached a profound understanding. The true call of the divine was not always loud and clear, but rather it was a quiet, insistent voice that spoke to the very core of one's being. It was the voice that spoke when no one else was listening, that sang when silence reigned. It was in these moments of utter solitude that the chosen one found the strength to continue to press forward. The path grew steeper, the forest denser, but the spirit of the chosen one was now a beacon, a lighthouse guiding through the fog of doubt and despair. Each step was a declaration of their divine mission, a testament to their unwavering belief in a higher purpose that transcended the petty concerns of mortal existence. With each stride, they left behind the shadows of doubt and the whispers of fear, stepping ever closer to the fulfillment of their sacred duty. The chosen one's journey continued through realms both seen and unseen, through trials that tested the very essence of their being. Yet it was in the moments of their deepest isolation, when the world had turned its back, that the chosen one had discovered their greatest strength, the power to find meaning, purpose, and divine connection in the silence. It was this strength that now propelled them forward towards the ultimate revelation of their mission, where the final call of God awaited. In the end, the chosen one understood that to be chosen was not merely a privilege, but a profound responsibility to carry the weight of divine intent through the silence and the solitude, to be the beacon of hope in a world that often falters in faith, and to illuminate the path for those who would follow, no matter how many turned away. In the quiet of their ethereal sanctuary deep within the folds of a universe where the fabric of existence shimmered with the whispers of celestial beings, the chosen one stood alone, surrounded by an aura of untouched potential. The silence was a sacred hush, punctuated only by the soft rhythmic beating of a heart that pulsed with both trepidation and divine purpose. From the moment this soul was woven into the cosmic tapestry, an unerring call had been imprinted within, a calling that no mortal ear could hear, but that echoed in the chambers of their very soul. This solitary figure, now an emblem of an overlooked destiny, had long felt the relentless tug of an unseen tether, drawing them deeper into the labyrinth of their true purpose. Through the shadows of doubt and the blinding haze of existential dread, there lingered an unwavering conviction. To be ignored was not a burden, but the most profound blessing that had ever been bestowed upon them. For centuries, the chosen one had wandered through the corridors of time, traversing the myriad paths of human experience, each step resonating with a profound and inexplicable purpose. The divine whisper had guided them through moments of both elation and torment, through the highs of transcendent joy and the lows of unfathomable despair, always leading them back to the source, a presence that transcended the mortal realm. Within the sanctum, the air was thick with the incense of forgotten prayers, mingled with the faint sacred glow of ancient symbols etched upon the walls. Here, the chosen one was alone with destiny, each step forward a testament to a silent, unacknowledged mission. It was as if the universe itself had conspired to place obstacles in their path to hide the truth from the very ones who clamored for divine revelation. Yet in this obfuscation, there existed the true power, a force that thrived on the absence of recognition, that found strength in the invisible. The Chosen One's mission was not a simple one. It was not a quest for glory or a journey towards conquest. No, this was the odyssey of the unseen, the voyage of a soul chosen to bridge the chasm between the divine and the mundane, between the unknowable and the known. It was a mission defined by a profound solitude, where the silence of the world was a choir chanting their sacred truth. As the Chosen One stood before the altar of their destiny, they could feel the weight of millennia pressing down upon them, each moment a reverberation from the cosmic gong of fate. The altar, adorned with relics of ages past, bore silent witness to the sacrifices and the unspoken promises made to the One above. It was here, bathed in the glow of celestial light, that the true nature of their calling began to unveil itself, a calling that required an almost supernatural fortitude to honor. With each breath, the Chosen One felt the gentle, insistent pull towards the ultimate revelation, a revelation that no mortal had yet dared to seek. They were chosen to uncover the hidden wisdom that lay dormant within the hearts of the forgotten, to awaken the buried prophecies that slumbered beneath layers of oblivion. This mission required a heart unburdened by the clamor for acknowledgement, a soul that could thrive in the quietude of its divine purpose. The night stretched infinitely, a dark canvas upon which the Chosen One's journey would be painted in hues of profound spiritual truth. The stars above twinkled with ancient knowledge, each a silent sentinel marking the path ahead. It was here, beneath the watchful gaze